Welcome to my channel.
The noise of drills echoed from the workshop, but my stomach had been uneasy all morning. It had been a year since Daniel's funeral. A year since I last heard his voice echo down the hallway of our home. I hadn't stepped foot in his workshop since. But something in me said it was time to remodel, to let go. That morning the construction crew arrived on schedule. I kissed my kids, dropped them at school and decided to get groceries. That's when my phone rang. "Ma'am?" The foreman's voice was strange, hesitant. You need to come back. Bring the children. And don't come without them." My heart stopped. What? What happened? "There's something under the floor. Just, come." When I arrived, Emma and Liam by my side, the workers were pale, standing in a circle. The wooden boards had been ripped open, revealing a hollow. At the center of it lay a rusted steel box, sealed shut. The initials DC were carved on top, Daniel's. I moved slowly, numb. My daughter's hand tightened in mine. My son whispered, "Mom, is that Dad's?" I opened the box. Inside were letters. Dozens. Each envelope labeled with a year. Some addressed to Miranda. Others to Emma. Some marked Liam, age 16. Others to someone I hadn't seen in 15 years. Emma gasped. "Is that?" She didn't finish. She fainted before I could catch her. Because the envelope she saw wasn't addressed to any of us. It was addressed to Isabel Harper, the woman who once tried to destroy our family. And Daniel's message to her was dated next week. Emma was still out cold on the couch when I sat with the letter in trembling hands. My daughter had only met Isabel once, at a hospital when she was 5. She didn't remember her, but I did. Isabel Harper had been my husband's ex-fiancée. She was obsessed with Daniel. When he married me, she tried to sue him, stalked me at work, even sent fake paternity claims. Eventually, a restraining order silenced her, or so I thought. The envelope read, "To Isabel Harper. If you're reading this, it means it's time." Inside, Daniel's words hit like a hammer. "I know you'll come back. I know grief will tempt Miranda to renovate. That's why I hid this now. You took something from me once. But I took something back, something you'll want. Look in the back corner of the workshop under the second slab. And remember, I warned you years ago, touch my family again and I'll end this quietly." There was no signature. Just a small drawing, Daniel's symbol for our family. A tree with 3 branches. I grabbed a flashlight. The crew had already stepped back, spooked. I pulled the slab aside. What I found wasn't a threat. It was evidence. Photos. Contracts. A notebook. Emma stirred behind me. Liam peeked in. I flipped the page and my jaw locked. Because Daniel had known she was still watching us, and he had been quietly recording every illegal move she made. With names, bank accounts. And then I found it. An envelope marked, "For the police. Deliver only if Isabel contacts the children." Emma's phone buzzed. One text. From a blocked number. It said, "I want to meet. I'm your real mother." And now, I couldn't breathe. I took the phone from Emma's hand before she could reply. She looked up at me confused. "Mom, that name. Why would someone?" I hugged her close. "Because someone cruel wants to rewrite your story." That night, I stayed up reading every page of Daniel's notebook. He had tracked Isabel's alias changes, offshore accounts, and court records she tried to erase. The last entry chilled me. If she ever contacts the kids, it means she's ready to try again. And this time, Miranda, you must finish it. Protect them. Use everything I left. It was more than documentation. Daniel had prepared for a war. And I had just received the first warning shot. The next morning, I called Detective Harris. He'd helped us years ago when Isabel was stalking me. I told him everything. He didn't sound surprised. "She's resurfaced," he said. "Another woman just filed a police report across town. Same name. Same MO, claims she's reclaiming her family. We've been waiting for her to slip up." I gave him the envelope marked, "For the police." His voice changed. "Miranda, this could help us finally charge her." I was about to thank him when the doorbell rang. Liam opened it, and froze. A tall woman in a gray coat stood at the threshold. Thin smile. Hands clasped like a nun. "Hi," she said to my children. "I'm your mother." I stepped forward. "No, you're not." She smiled wider. "Then you won't mind the court papers I'm about to file." Emma whispered, "Why does she look like me?" I stared at the woman who nearly destroyed my family once. And realized she hadn't come to reclaim anything. She had come to steal what Daniel left behind. I didn't flinch. I'd faced down Isabel once before, when she tried to claim Emma during Daniel's chemo. Now she was cleaner, softer, draped in false kindness, but her venom was still the same. "I'm here for my children," she said, eyes flicking to the hallway behind me. "They're not yours," I said quietly. "You gave up that right when you chose money over them." She tilted her head, almost amused. "Funny. That's what he said before he died." My jaw tightened. I glanced toward Liam, who was clutching Emma's hand from behind the stairs. "My babies, his legacy. What do you want?" I asked. She pulled a paper from her bag, a custody petition. "I want what was mine. Daniels will left the business to me before he changed it. You tampered with it. I have evidence. I want the workshop, the house, and shared custody of the children." I felt my pulse pounding. But I stayed calm. "You're bluffing," I said. "He legally removed you. I have all the documents, including your arrest record." She smiled again. "We'll see what the court believes." Then she added, "Your daughter faints easily. Must be genetic." My fingers dug into the doorframe. She turned and walked away, but she left the petition on the floor. The next morning, I received an unmarked envelope in the mail. Inside was a photo of Emma, asleep in her bed. Last night. The timestamp read, 2:42 a.m. And there was a sticky note on the back that simply said, "It's not over." I locked every window that night. Emma and Liam slept in my bed. I didn't call the police. Not yet. Instead, I pulled out the flash drive Daniel had left me, the one he gave me in case something ever happened to him. I'd never opened it before. He told me it was a last resort. Inside were dozens of files. Scans of property deeds, phone recordings, screenshots of texts. But one folder was labeled, "For the day Isabel returns." I clicked. My screen lit up with footage. Recorded on the workshop security system. There she was, Isabel, months before Daniel died, digging beneath the workshop floor with her brother. A metal case. Documents. Jewelry. Daniel's first will. They had buried it. To fake its theft. And when Daniel confronted her, that's when she disappeared without a trace. He must have found a way to recover it all before his final chemo. And now he had passed it to me. The timestamp proved she was lying, again. I sat there shaking, not with fear, but with clarity. I copied the footage. Drove straight to my lawyer. Explained everything. By noon he had filed an emergency injunction. Isabel would be served in 48 hours. But just as I pulled into the driveway, Emma was gone. And Liam was crying in the living room, whispering, "Aunt Isabel said she was taking Emma for a surprise trip." My heart nearly exploded. I raced to Emma's room. Her school backpack was gone. Her favorite stuffed rabbit too. Liam, barely holding back tears, repeated, "She said it was a surprise trip, and not to tell." My hands shook as I called Isabel. No answer. Next, I called the police, reported a possible child abduction. They told me to stay put. But I didn't. I had one clue. Isabel always bragged about her fiancé's vacation cabin in the woods. Daniel once took me there years ago. She didn't know I knew where it was. I got in the car and drove for nearly 2 hours through snow-drenched roads, Liam asleep in the back seat. As I pulled into the narrow drive near the woods, I saw a black SUV parked outside. Lights were on. Someone was moving inside. I left Liam locked in the car with my phone, told him to call if anything happened. Then I walked to the door quietly. And what I saw through the window made me freeze. Emma eating dinner. Smiling. Wearing a new dress. Isabel brushing her hair. She wasn't hurting her. She was grooming her. Playing mom. Pretending she was hers. I stepped back, and that's when the floor creaked under my boot. The door opened slowly. And Isabel said, smiling wide, "Finally. We were waiting for you." Isabel's voice was calm. Too calm. "Emma's been waiting for a real mother," she smiled, motioning to the table. "Sit. Dinner's hot." My fists clenched. My voice cracked. "You took my child without asking. That's kidnapping." She rolled her eyes. "Please. You were always too distracted to be a good mom. I'm just helping." Look at her, happy, healthy, loved. Emma nodded shyly. I could see the confusion in her eyes. My own daughter, slowly being pulled away from me. I sat not because she asked, but because I needed to gather myself. Observe. Plan. She poured wine for herself. "Daniel used to say I'd be a better mother than you. He said it in bed sometimes." I didn't flinch. I just asked one thing, "Where's the birth certificate?" She blinked. "What?" "You said she's your daughter. Then show me her birth certificate." Isabel's lips parted but nothing came out. Emma glanced between us, sensing tension. I stood up slowly. This dinner's over. I'm calling the police, she snapped. I walked to the front door, opened it, and there they were. 2 officers. 1 female, 1 male. They'd been tracking my phone. And the moment they saw Emma, they said, "Ma'am, step aside. We have a warrant." Isabel's face drained of color. She backed away, trembling as the officers stepped into the house. "Don't move," the female officer said. "We have reason to believe you're holding a minor here against her custodial parents' rights." I gently pulled Emma behind me. "Go with the lady in blue, sweetheart. I'll be right there." Emma looked up at me, eyes wide with relief. "Are you mad at me, Mommy?" I crouched down. "Never. You were very brave." As they took Isabel aside, she began to scream. "I was saving her. She doesn't deserve that kid. I did what Daniel wanted." I handed them the recording I'd taken earlier, quietly started on my phone under the table. It captured every damning word, especially the part where she claimed Emma as hers. But the real twist? I had quietly changed the workshop's ownership papers after Daniel passed. The house was in my name. Everything was. 2 weeks later, Isabel was charged with child endangerment, fraud, and trespassing. Her mother and sister too. At the trial I didn't speak much. I let the evidence speak for itself. The judge awarded me sole custody. Emma never saw them again. And as we left the courtroom, hand in hand, Emma whispered, "Can we go home now?" I smiled. "We already are."